Recently, I was asked questions about how come I didn't allow my son to be with his dad's side of the family. Now, when I say his dad, I'm talking about his donor, the donor dad, the eyebrows, the pads on the car, that guy. Okay, the reason why is it was several reasons why. Now, some of this story here is like disturbing because even though y'all know that part of the story, this part I never told because it was like nothing to brag about. See, his side of the family was like that uppity side that thought they had something, but they really didn't have anything, but they was pretending like they did. Okay, so we're gonna go back, way back to when I met him. Now, keep in mind, my mom has always lived in the same house on the same street as she lives today. So my mom been in her house almost 40 years, and her house been paid off for about 40 years. But in the end, I would sit on the porch and I would see this car come down the street. And in this car was this guy, and he would always wave. He wouldn't say anything, but then he'll come down the street. He'd have some lady in the car with him, or his car would come down the street, and it wouldn't be him driving the car. It'd be this lady, and she for some reason noticed me, but I never noticed her. But every time I would see this car, it would slow down, make a left at the stop sign, and it would keep going. Now, keep in mind, I had seen this car for. Okay, that alarm went off. But by me sitting in this car about 6 months, it caught my attention, but it really didn't because I was fresh out of high school and I was like minding the business that paid me, sitting on my mom's porch. But I noticed the car, Monique noticed the car, and Margaret noticed the car. Monique would say stuff like, "Who is that in that car, Monica?" I'd be like, "I don't know." You know what I'm saying? But I would see him all the time. Driving up my mom's street, turn right, going up towards his apartment, and coming down, leaving his apartment, coming down, turn left off my mom's street. Now, keep in mind, I didn't know that he was looking at me. I kind of knew, but I didn't really pay attention. But anywho, he did. Okay, so this one particular time I had walked to the store. Now, by my mom's house, there's a Rally's, which was Checkers, and then it was a grocery store the grocery store is gone now. What is at that grocery store? What did they build at that grocery store? I can't remember. But at the time, it was Metro Market. And in order for us to get there, we had to walk up the street, through the alley, or whatever the case may be. So I had walked up the street this one particular day, and I had went to Metro Market, and this is what happened. So I walk into Metro Market. I see the car in the parking lot. He's sitting in the car. The guy is sitting in the car. I go in the store. I get what I got to get. I see this woman staring at me. I don't know who this woman is. I don't know what she's staring at me for, but she's staring. So I kind of catch an attitude like, I'll go on about my business. I come out the store. I see him. He turns the lights on the front of his car so that it'll catch my attention. When it caught my attention, I just kind of looked. Now, keep in mind, I was coming out of the store. I had to walk up the street to go to this crosswalk to get home. So when I got to the crosswalk, I seen the car. You know how you turn and you see something? I seen the car when it got to the light. When it got to the light, that means I had to walk past the car. So when I walked past the car, you know how you know somebody is looking at you? I knew he was looking, so I looked back and looked at him directly. And I kept going. I found that kind of strange. So in through this, we met. Okay, this is how I met his dad. Now, when I met his dad, he was with another woman. He said, of course, that she was the babysitter. But by me being 18 and him being 28, or Curly, I didn't pay it any attention. He kept saying this was the babysitter. I took it as that. Now, keep in mind, we had been like seeing each other for a while, or whatever the case may be. But his aunts and his mom and them was close to the babysitter. Now, keep in mind, I thought she was the babysitter, but she wasn't. She was his woman, and she was older than what he was. He was older than me. He was younger than her. I was younger than him. But she had been telling his family about me, and I had no idea. Now, I was working at a group home at this time, but I was working with his mom. And I knew the mom But one day she just decided, well, I guess to let the cat out the bag, she decided to tell me who the lady was. And she told me that this lady and him had been in a relationship for the longest, to the point that she was raising his son by another woman. So she's not the babysitter. That's what I said. So when he came to pick us up, I got in the front seat and I told him, I said, so when was you gonna tell me that this wasn't the babysitter, that this was your woman? He was like, oh no, it's not like that. I'm leaving her for you and this, that, and the third. But by me being young, I believed him. And so, but keep in mind, his mom had went back and had told her whole family about me. Made it seem like I was a bad person. Made it seem like my mom was a bad person. Made it seem like it was me. And actually, it was him. Yeah, the story gets bad. Okay, so the mother had went back and told her sisters, which is his aunts, like, oh, he messing with this little young girl, this, that, and the other, and this and that. So he decided one day to bring me to a family function. Now, at this family function, I need for everybody to pay attention. His oldest aunt, whose daughter, who had like two daughters, one stayed here and one stayed in Virginia. Then he had another aunt that had three boys, and yeah, she had three boys. The other aunt had three boys. And then the other aunt, his sister, had like kids or whatever the case may be. But these aunts is what I'm talking about. Okay, so I get to the function, and all of a sudden, it's the questions. Oh, well, who's your family? And why do y'all stay in that house? And this and that. Did you know that such and such and so it was with him, and she's a good person, and this and that and the third, and you need to leave him alone. He opens and says, well, y'all need to stay out of our business because I'm not with her. And they was like, well, you still live with her. And you got this little young girl with you, and what can she possibly do for you? Whatever she could do for you, any woman could do for you. You're supposed to be getting from her. You're supposed to be getting the same thing you're getting from her. You're supposed to be getting from your woman. They made this shit clear. When I say they made this shit clear, I felt some type of way. And on the way home, I told him, I said, you know what? You need to quit messing with me. I said, because apparently your family has already pulled judgment on me, and they're already pointing the finger at me, and this and that and the third. Now, keep in mind, I told you that his mom had two sisters, one with two daughters, and the other one had three sons. Now, keep in mind, I told y'all this. Okay, so time goes on. We keep getting into it. Me and the other woman, we keep getting into it because she blaming me for whatever's going on in her house. But by me being young, I should have took responsibility for my half of it. But at the time, I just didn't because I was riding with this person. This person was taking me places and this, and that. I thought we was in a relationship. Okay, well, keep in mind, they still passing judgment on me. When I say still passing judgment on me, I mean bad, like passing judgment on me. To the point where my mom and my sisters them got involved in it because I told them what had happened or whatever the case may be. Boobs hanging out. Okay, but anyway. So, this one particular time, he was supposed to come and pick me up. He tells me, he's like, Monica, he was like, something that went on in my family. Now, this is around 92. It's around 92. And by being around 92... he something was going on in Dayton, Ohio around about that time. It was Thanksgiving time. He was supposed to go over to. Now keep in mind, we were supposed to have Thanksgiving dinner at the aunt's house that had the three boys. But that was all the way canceled because of something that had went on. Okay, so what I was thinking was that he was going to take the other woman up there to the Thanksgiving dinner, which was exactly what happened. But when they did, it was a young lady that joined them. It was three of his aunt's sons' friends that joined them at Thanksgiving dinner. Now, keep in mind, remember I told y'all, they gossip a lot. His family was a gossiper. They just always would say stuff and this and that and other. Okay, so this time at Thanksgiving dinner, one aunt, her youngest son brought up this girl, the Caucasian girl's shoes, and he was asking her, where did she get her gym shoes from? And now, keep in mind, the way I know this story is because the baby daddy told me. He was like, well, such was asking about this girl's shoes. They asked about this girl's shoes. I don't know what he was paying attention to this girl's shoes for. And I was like, well, what was going on? And he was like telling me, but I really wasn't paying attention or whatever the case may be. But then the news came on the next day. Like the news. He calls me, Monica, watch the news. Monica, watch the news. I get to watching the news, and what do I see? 4 kids that got arrested for what they call here in Dayton, Ohio. Look it up. What's the Christmas killings down here? I'm looking at the story on the news. They done caught these kids that done went around from Thanksgiving, from when Thanksgiving was, all the way up to like maybe a week before Christmas. This is the reason why Dayton, Ohio named them the Christmas killers. I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible. Everybody is listening to this story. Everybody is going through it. Okay, so time goes on. Court and stuff is going on. Now they hush mouth. Shh. They're not saying nothing. I'm like asking him, like, why did you want me to watch this story? He was like, Monica, he said, I wish I could get into why. He was like, but I can't get into it right now. I'm like, what you mean you can't get into it right now? He was like, my aunt is going to court for something that her son did. I'm like, her son? He was like, yes, her oldest son. I'm like, her oldest son? He was like, yeah. I said, oh, okay. So I continue to watch the news. Because keep in mind, by the Christmas killers being taken over the news, everybody is paying attention to this. I start looking at the names. That name matches his name. So I get to questioning him like, are you related? Okay, by me being pregnant, yes, I was pregnant. I was pregnant with my son. And I knew I was pregnant. He knew I was pregnant. His mom and them, all them knew I was pregnant. The girlfriend didn't know. Now, by me being pregnant, and I'm listening to this story about Thanksgiving dinner and this and that and the other, detectives going up to this lady's house and all this other stuff. I'm like trying to put 2 and 2 together, but I'm pregnant. Okay, so time is going on. My pregnancy is going further. I found out that the aunt that didn't like me, her son was one of the 4 kids that had went around Dayton, Ohio, committing these crimes, right? Remember I told y'all about the one son asking about the girls, the Caucasian girls' gym shoes. Look the story up. Then y'all know what happened about the gym shoes. The gym shoes came from a young lady that was at a phone booth that they committed this crime to. I'm like, wait a minute. They took her shoes. They did what they did. They took her shoes. She wore the shoes to Thanksgiving dinner. Yes. So when I found out about the gym shoes, the girl, the crimes, and all this other stuff with the Christmas stuff, I told him like, I knew I was having a boy. No. My son would never be around your family. He was like, oh, you judging me for what my family did. I'm not judging you about what your family did. I don't want my son tied up with your family. And so this is what I told him. He like, well, Monica, I don't believe that you should pass judgment on my family. They passed judgment on me. Now keep in mind, her son has been incarcerated since my son was born in 93. He got convicted of these crimes, which was the Christmas killings in Dayton, Ohio in 1992. Look it up. And the boy, one of the boys that was involved with it is my son's first cousin. No, he will not be around y'all. No, he won't go to family functions. No, he will not go to family reunions. Okay, so I kept my son away from him. That's not just the tip of the iceberg. No, that was the first aunt. Now keep in mind that aunt also still had 2 other sons. One which was, was gay, and then the other one he wasn't. And remember I told y'all that the other aunt had 2 daughters. Now this is the second reason why I didn't let my son be around his side of the family. It gets better. The story gets way better. Okay, first off, this is not a cliffhanger. Cut it, okay? This is not a cliffhanger. Okay, I think I left off when I told y'all to go and look the story up. It's 1992, Dayton, Ohio Christmas Killers. Y'all will figure it out. Okay, so they had looked at this question that was on there about the girl with the shoes. If you actually looked at the story, or if you go back on my YouTube, I told the whole story there. Okay, but I didn't tell y'all that he was actually related to my son, because I didn't feel like it was necessary at that point to tell y'all that he was related to my son, but he is. Okay, so after this stuff had died down, I'm sitting and I'm still listening to little comments about, oh, Curtis is chocolate and we all light, and his grandmother got brown eyes and his dad got blue ones, and his eyes is green and Curtis's is not. None of this man's kids' eyes is that color. Not one. Not one of these kids. But okay, so y'all still coming for my baby. Now keep in mind, I told y'all, the oldest aunt and the youngest aunt. The youngest aunt got the 3 boys. The one boy I already then got convicted of these crimes in 1992. I had Curtis in 1993. Okay, so they still prejudging my baby, you know what I'm saying? I just got this funny feeling, you know what I'm saying? She just had this baby to keep him. Still ain't saying nothing. The youngest aunt's youngest son, we're going to call him Jay. Jay was neutral. He wasn't on either side. He loved his family, but he also loved my baby. But he loved my baby because I allowed him to be around my son. Now keep in mind, all this news coverage and all this other stuff was going on about what they had did at these. When I say that this was a crime that they did, I think it was a grand total of, I want to say 8 or 9 people that these people actually did this crime to. And when I found out that I didn't go, when I put it together about the Thanksgiving dinner and the Caucasian girl with the gym shoes, and then they said about the girl at the phone booth, I put it together. I'd be damned. The gym shoes that Jay was talking about was the girl's gym shoes that they had did this crime to at the telephone booth. So therefore, okay, I started withdrawing my baby from his side of the family then. But keep in mind, they still was gossiping about my baby. They was still, you know, this young girl, this, that, and the third. I signed up for DMHA housing. When I signed up for DMHA housing, I put it in my mind then, I'm moving from over here. So I started giving away a lot of stuff to Jay. He was giving it to his mom because at the time, he was gay, but he hadn't came out, but he had this little feminine ways. Everybody knew what he was going to end up as because he was feminine, completely feminine. But he didn't like what his family was doing to me and my baby. So he took up for it. And through this, go back in my story. Y'all will see where I said we was at a barbecue. His dad decided that I was still, you know, he still was on that BS. And this is when the eyebrows and stuff came into play. Now, when he did this, I'm like looking at him like, oh my God, really? You going to continue the same crap? The house is clean. The same crap and this and that. But okay, I let it go because I knew that I was going to get DMH housing. I was going to move from where they were. So I get ready to move and stuff like this. Jay apparently walked in on a conversation that the oldest aunt and the youngest aunt was having. Now, I would think that the youngest aunt would have stopped the BS with my baby, but she didn't. Because she had all this stuff going on with her son in court, the news coverage. When I say this news went nationwide, honey, listen, this news was nationwide because this was horrible what these people had, what these kids had did. Okay, when I say that they should have been focusing on the task at hand and they was more interested in my son, they was. But meanwhile, the oldest aunt's oldest daughter and the youngest aunt's second to the oldest son have been hanging out. When I say hanging out, not just like cousins hanging out, like hanging out, going out together and this, that, and the third. Well, the conversation has shifted from my son and his dad to these two now. Because they were saying they was hanging out too much and this, and the girl would get upset when he had a girl over there, and she would get upset at her if she had a dude over there. But they was never did they once insinuate that anything was going on between the two. It was just the gossip. Okay, so the stuff that happened at the barbecue. with my eyebrows and all this other stuff, how he wiped them off and called himself embarrassing me and all this other stuff. So I'm gently packing up my stuff. I'm taking it to whatever I'm taking, I'm boxing, whatever I'm giving away, I'm just giving it away. Because I want a fresh start. I'm trying to get on my feet, and this. This is when I got ready to meet the narcissist. This was right before I met the narcissist. Okay, so anywho, Jay comes over to the house. He was like, I am about sick and tired of my people talking about my cousin, talking about my baby. And I was like, well, you know what? Don't pay that no attention. I said, they're going to talk all they want to. I said, because that's what they do. He was like, He was like, that's not what they do. He said, they need to be focusing on their kids. Now, he had kept saying this for like a week. They need to be focusing on their kids. They need to be focusing on their kids. I'm like, what's going on? Meanwhile, the oldest aunt's daughter is pregnant. When I say pregnant, she is pregnant, not pregnant. She's pregnant. Then the whole time, everybody's asking her. I kept wondering why everybody was asking her, who's her baby daddy, who's her baby daddy, who's her baby daddy. She would never say. So I'm like looking at this like, wait a minute. Now, because Jay is like, they always throwing it up in his face, you this, you that, you're going to end up to be a girl and all this other stuff. Because this is how his family was. So it has shifted to the point where they were saying, oh, well, you're going to end up this kind of way and this, that. He was tired of it. When I say he was fed up with it, he was tired of it. He was tired of them constantly throwing stuff up in his face, telling him how to act and this, that, and the other. Well, when he came to my house, I wouldn't try to shift him from being who he really was. Now, granted, he was still going to take up for his family. But this one particular day, he got pissed off. When I say he was pissed, he was burnt. He came over to the house and he slammed the screen door. Boom. Came in. I'm looking at him like, boy, is you crazy? You know what I'm saying? So he like, keep Curtis away from them. He's like, keep my cousin away from them. I'm like, what's going on? He was like, you ain't heard? I'm like, no. He was like, everybody can't wait till such and such had his baby. I'm like, why? He was like, because they thinking it's my brothers. Wait, what? Wait, what? I said, they're cousins. They're not just cousins. They're first cousins. I said, I know damn well that this is not going on and ain't nobody's trying to put a stop to it. But keep in mind, I have been seeing it. And when somebody says something like that to you, you're going to go back and you're going to remember what you saw them doing and this. I can remember them hanging out tough together, but I didn't put it together because that shit just don't happen in regular life. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking like, no, that ain't true. Like that, he was like, everybody's waiting to see who this baby look like. So maybe like right before I got ready to move, the girl has the baby. When she has the baby, the aunts and the cousins and stuff is devastated. When I say devastated, they are devastated. This baby that she had her first cousin's whole face. Like this baby was his. You couldn't even deny it. Okay, so they start, everybody want to get quiet then. Everybody wanted to get quiet. Why is everybody quiet now? When it was my baby, everybody had something to talk about. But now that it's not my baby, now it's a family thing. Oh, no, we're not going to talk about this. Nobody need to say nothing. They even tried to stop Jay from telling me what had happened, but he had already told me. But I hadn't seen the baby yet. So I'm like packing my stuff up. I got the U-Haul. I'm packing my baby up. We getting ready to move. Her and the cousin, both of the cousins, the boy cousin and the girl cousin, come over to my house to see me leave. So when they come over there, she got the baby wrapped up. Now keep in mind, when I say that they was gossiping, to the point that the oldest aunt and the youngest aunt was feuding, and my son's grandmother was in the middle. She was trying to diffuse it, but she wasn't. Keep in mind, Jay had already told me he was at my house helping me pack the U-Haul up to move. One of the other cousins seen them come to my apartment. When they seen them come to my apartment, immediately the aunts start walking towards my house. Now, keep in mind, the boy cousin that had got the other girl cousin pregnant, true story, that they hadn't seen their aunts. They were staying at one of their little friends' house with the baby. They wouldn't bring the baby around the family. Okay, so they seen them bring this kid over to my house. Now, by this time, I had already took the cover off the baby. I want to see it for myself. When I looked at them like, okay. She was like, no, this is not. She was like, the only reason why the baby looked like him is because I stayed mad at him the whole time. But when she was talking, you would think that this was her man because she was like, I just some of the stuff that he was doing and this and this. She had let the cat out the bag without even damn it knowing. But she had just kept on with the story. So I just, you know what I'm saying, this is your story. I would tell it how you want it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just looking at her like, you know damn well, okay. So I move. But when I move, I don't see his family no more. Now, keep in mind, the gossip was that they wanted to get a DNA test on this baby, this, that, and the third. Now, when the baby turned 6 months, the girl came up pregnant again. But when she came up pregnant this time, she flat out told them, like, yeah, this is his baby, and this, that, and the third, and I'm getting ready to move out of town because all y'all do is talk. How I know is because I seen Jay one day downtown, and he was telling me about it. So when he was telling me, I was telling him, like, this could not be. So it just so happened that I had seen his dad. And I asked his dad, I asked him, like, this is really true? He was like, yeah. He was like, but you can't really say anything about it because they was kids and this. Now, keep in mind, when you say they was kids, you would think like 13, 14. No. The boy was like 19. The girl was like 22. They knew. But the whole time, they were still trying to shift it to shield them from people gossiping, but they thought it was okay to gossip about my son. So I didn't get a chance to see them for real, like, for years, and I did keep my baby away. So every now and again, I would see little pieces of them and this and that and the other. Now, time done went on. My baby done grew up. He's going on about his business. I see the youngest aunt at the bank. When I seen her at the bank, the first thing came out of her mouth was, Monica, you should be shaming yourself for keeping Curtis away from us. That is my nephew's baby, and you kept him away from us, so he don't have no idea who we was. I saw. Okay, when I saw her at the bank, she made it no bones about telling me how wrong I was for keeping my son away from them. What? She went on and on about, oh, his grandmother died without knowing him, and this, and that with him, and you wrong, Monica, you wrong. Okay, I waited good and ready until she stopped her conversation. And this is what I told her. I said, listen to me. I said, y'all had judged me from day one, and I had never said anything out of respect that y'all was older. But keep in mind that your son not only had one child by his first cousin, but he had two. Y'all shielded them from that gossip to the point y'all moved her back to West Virginia, and y'all kept the kids here, which gave them to the son, which is your grandkids by your sister's oldest daughter. Let's keep in mind the assignment. She had no clue. Okay, so she gets this dumb look on her face, and she's gonna say, well, I saw Curtis at his job, and he didn't even know who I was. He wasn't supposed to know who y'all was. I kept my son shielded from y'all because y'all had too many mistakes going on, that y'all had too much shit going on in y'all life where I didn't want my baby attached to that. I said, not only did you act funny towards my son, but you never claimed him. I said, but it's a never mind about that. I said, but how is your grandkids by your oldest sister's oldest child? She was like, Monica, I can't believe you brought that up, honey. No, I hadn't even pulled the Ace Boom Coon card out. I didn't trump her out until she said this. Well, Curtis still don't look like my nephew. I said, but, oh, okay. I said, he may not look like your nephew, and that's fine with me because he looks like me. And I take full credit for my baby. I said, but unlike you, you didn't take no credit for your son that went around the city of Dayton doing malicious stuff to people and getting away with it until he gets ass got caught. While he's sitting in jail now, where he got 2 consecutive life sentences plus 4 for the stuff that he did, and he married the Caucasian girl in jail. Then they rebuked it because you can't, 2 criminals cannot get married in the state of Ohio. You can't do that, and y'all both incarcerated. So let's not throw stones, okay, lady? She was like, Mike, I can't believe you said that. I said it. Because at the end of the day, y'all never took responsibility for what he had done. And so therefore, y'all wanted to pick me apart. Pick yourself apart. I politely got my stuff from out that bank and I went to my car and pulled off. At the end of the day, I never spoke to his family again. So yes, I do believe that I made the right decision when I kept my son away from his natural family.